G'day viewers and welcome to this very special occasion. Today we start the new fish room. Now the old fish room's done its job, but clearly I've ran out of space fairly quickly. There's not even room to sit down in there, let alone swing a cat. So I've decided to sacrifice part of the shed for the new room. Now this shed it's 6 metres by 18 metres, which is 20 feet by about 60 feet in the old money. And I'm going to sacrifice the last 2 bays of that, so it'll be about 20 foot square, the new room. And now because it gets stinking hot here in summer, like it gets well over mid-40s inside there during summer, and it gets very, very cold in the winter, I'll have to insulate the absolute crap out of this. So I've thought of a few different ways to do it. I thought I could just build a frame, like a normal house frame, pack it full of insulation and then clad both sides. But doing the research, I managed to get onto some cheap cool room down in Adelaide, this cool room panel. So the cool room panel will stand up by itself. There's no framing needed and it's already pre-insulated, and it'll give us a really nice finish and a really good bare bones to work with to build the room up from there. I'm going to try and film as much of this build as I possibly can, but if you know me and know my videos, I get bored easy, so I skip through all the boring bits and speed up the bits so we jam as much as we possibly can into the shortest video possible. But during the course of this, I would love to hear from you. If you have any really good ideas, or if you see something that you do differently, fire away down below or contact me through the regular channels. You'll work it out. But first off, the worst part is I'm going to have to empty out 2/3 of my shed, so half the stuff's going to get piled outside for the time being, and then the rest of it's going to get piled on top of all the other stuff, all my shelving, benches, motorbikes, everything's piled down to this end so we can build the room and then build some shelving to go back. So I'll have to work around all of that, but I'm sure we'll manage. So anyway, enough talking, let's get building. So after a few days of grueling labour, this end of the shed is now empty mostly and ready for some cool room panel. Have a look at tripod. It really helps when you've got a gun forklift operator. Makes your job so much easier. Have a look at the young fella go. Yeah, that'll do. Beautiful. So how do you like driving forklifts, tripod?
Very uplifting.
You idiot. So after a very long day, I've managed to get all of those cool room panels home intact. So now we're just installing some aluminium C-channel that the panels will slot into. So I'll just get it in a position. I'll start at that first wall and then we'll drill some holes in the concrete and we'll bolt it down. I like to use these masonry anchors. I think they're far better than using the old Dynabolts, because not only do I think they grip better, you can also pull them out if you make a mistake to move something. And once the first end's bolted down, we can use the laser to square it off, but if you're like me, I still like to check it with the old 3-4-5 rule. Now after lining everything up, I thought it was time to check the heights with the laser, and that's where we ended up in trouble, because that end of the shed, it turns out, is 30 mil lower, which is 1.25 inches lower than the rest of the shed. So I was going to have to do something about that. So while pondering my flooring problem, I thought this might be a good opportunity to have a bit of a design, a bit of a think, and make some plans about what's going to actually go in this fish room. And it didn't take very long and very few technical drawings to realise it just wasn't all going to fit. So I thought we might expand the fish room just a little bit. So while I was in Adelaide, I grabbed a couple more panels. One roof panel and then 2 wall panels, and that'll give us an extra couple of meters. Now because the fish room's been extended, I've had to move this wall in so it'll clear that roller door. And the problem with the flooring, I decided why not just lift up
that C channel. So in order to do that, I'm going to pour a little bit of a slab underneath, just under that end. So I have 4 layers of paint to strip off first. Yay. So once I'm down to bare concrete, I'll be able to put the channel there and I'll pack it up to the height it needs to be, and then we'll cavity fill it underneath with some concrete. But like I always said, if life gives you lemons, make cheesecake. So I've found the lowest part of the floor, which happens to be in the corner, and I've notched out this bit of PVC and we'll make a bit of a drain. In the highly likely event I end up leaving a hose on or flooding something, all the water will run down to this corner and then out through that drain outside. How clever is that, eh? Not bad. So now I've just clamped a bit of old steel across the front for some formwork to keep it in there, and now we will just go all the way along. We'll fill it in between that channel and the wall, and then we'll get a little bit of steel or something and we'll force it under that channel. And as I go along, I'll just grab the rubber mallet and just keep tapping that outer formwork, and hopefully it'll vibrate it down and give us a nice smooth edge on the inside there. So now's the moment of truth. We'll remove our formwork and just see what it's going to look like on the inside of the room. And I'm pretty happy with that. I think that turned out very good. So now our walls have a nice solid base to sit on, and everything will all be the same height up the top, but the floor's still going to have a fair old slope on it. So finally, after all the prep work, it's time to stand some panels up, which is really easy. They just slot inside that channel and we slide it up. Beautiful. And that's it. How easy was that? And then once it's in, I put the spirit level on, make sure the ends are right, the sides are right, and then I'll just pop rivet it into place and then move on to the next one. So after putting another one in to stop this one tipping over around the corner, I'll just run a bead of silicone in between. It'll help stick them together, but mostly it'll just seal it, even though they seal pretty well by themselves, but a little bit of silicone won't hurt. Now, do it all over again. Rinse and repeat. It's fairly straightforward. This did not take very long at all to do. In between each one, I had the spirit level on the edge, and if I needed to pack it up a fraction, I did, but I think only about 2 mil over the whole lot. And then we put another piece of our channel on the top to cap it all off. Then just run the laser around, mount some PowerPoint blocks so they're all the same height, and we drill the holes, and as I go around where it's closer to the walls, I'll just feed the wire through as I go. As the old saying goes, no point having kids and having to peel all that plastic off by yourself. This is clearly the most annoying part of the whole job. It's horrible stuff.
So now I've installed most of the wall panels. I've got 5 out of the 7 that go along each side. So it's time to start installing the ceiling. And now the ceiling will be longer than the room itself because it's got to sit on top of those wall panels. How I'm going to get them up there, well, that's another question. And I have been thinking about that. But first off, let's cut this one down. So, safety first. And watch your ears. Right, first things first, we need to get the roof panel into the shed, then I need to get it up high enough to go over those walls. And I know what you're thinking, unlike the ancient Egyptians, I don't have any aliens to help, so I'm going to have to lift it up somehow. And for that, I've made this frame, and connected to this frame, there's a rope in each corner. And I have a pulley up in the ceiling there, and I have a sheep catching hook. Idea being, all 4 corners will go there, pull with the pulley, and I've got a little boat winch bolted to my hoist over there, which I'll show you in a minute. So I'm not really sure how this is going to work. I'm pretty confident And regular viewers to this channel will be thinking to themselves, geez, Gil, mate, this is dodgy even for you. And you would be 100% correct, but we're going to try it anyway. So let's get the panel in. Now I dragged the young bloke out of bed and he gave me a hand to carry the panel in, but now he's taken off, so I'm here all on my lonesome. So it's time to test out if this is actually going to work. So we hook up our clip with our little ropes and we go in order to try and keep that centered. Like so. So we have 2 on that side, 2 on that side. And that looks pretty good. And just in case, I'll stick that under there. If something goes bang and it goes whack, at least it's got something to hit that isn't the panel. So all there's left to do now is hook the cable up to the winch and start lifting. But first, just back out of the way a little bit. This might be a little bit how you're going. It's either going to work and be fantastic, or it's going to be the mother of all outtakes to go at the end of the video. So let's just see which one it will be. Yep, righto, back you go, back you go. Right, I've had to close that roller door just so the roll's a little bit smaller to give us a little bit more clearance on that side, and it'll also stop this thing blowing around in the wind. So first up, we'll connect it to our winch. Like that. So there's a winch, goes up to a pulley down to there. And now because the room's a little bit offset because of those roller doors, I'm pulling it off one of the top hat sections that holds the iron up. And I know it'll be strong enough because I hung off it to test it, and if it can hold my fat guts, it can hold one of these. But because it's a little bit off center, I think it might want to tip a bit. So just in case I've got a few short pieces of timber there and I can weigh it down as needed to get it to balance. So let's do this. Safety first. And up we go. So all the way back here, let's activate this winch. So far so good. That's sitting pretty level. Geez, that's pretty stable, isn't it? I think we'll just go with that. Now I'm just about to make contact with that roller door. No, I'm just going to sneak past it. So I just need to go up a little bit more, and we're there. So there you go. No outtake, just some engineering brilliance from a truck driver. So now, panel's up there, but I need to get it on top of the walls where it needs to go. So for that, we have another piece of bespoke engineering. This little frame, and no, it's not a wedding arch, I'm not getting married. I'm not going to grow some roses in the garden. It is made to sit under that panel there. I need to go that way a little bit more. like so. Now this is on. Actually, I'll come and have a look, see if you can see that. There you go, now you can see that. This little trolley, it's like the workshop lifting trolley. So we're going to jack that up so it picks up our little timber frame there. Need to go that way a touch. Actually, I might want to go in a little bit further, I think. No, that should be all right. So I jack that up, and now that's taking the weight. So I'll get up and I'll disconnect. I'll disconnect that pulley and then I can just wheel it back. So just hang forward for a sec. So off come the ropes. Here comes the crush sheet. Now it's just a matter of making sure everything's out of the way and manoeuvring it into position. That side's high enough. That side's high enough. We're going to clear the post and then we just walk it back, and I can just manoeuvre side to side as required, and I'll take that all the way back to where it's got to go. I think this has worked pretty well. With all the excitement of that actually working, I forgot to press record for the last bit, and I put the second one in. So this is actually panel number 3, but it goes in the same as the rest. I'll just put a little bit of silicone on top of the panels where it's going to land, and then the same as the walls, I'll just put a little bead along the join just to seal it, that little bit extra. I'm going to get as close as I can on the lifter, which is there, and I'll drop this down out of the way. Like so. Now I can just manually kick it across that last bit to line up with that panel, and that one just slotted straight in. And that one just went straight in as well. How simple was that? Look at that, perfect. I'm quite happy with that, very good.
To prevent the panel sagging in the middle over time, once they've got a few inches of dust on top, we're going to hang it from the roof with some steel cable. So I'll use a laser to find the center lengthways, and so we'll just measure it crossways and we'll drill a bit of a hole and we'll run a bolt through it. So we'll drop the eye bolt through the hole like that, and we want a fairly decent sized washer to take up a fair bit of surface area. Now the hole in the middle of that washer is way too big, so we're going to use a smaller washer. And to save having to climb up and down, up and down, up and down to try and line them up so they're not all off center, we'll super glue it first. There's a handy little tip for you, an old fella told me once. So once set, we put our washers over the top, and I've got a nice little stainless dome nut which should look nice and pretty once they're all finished. So we screw that up tight, and then tighten the nut on the top to hold it onto the panel. Just don't go too tight or we'll end up crushing something. Let's have some small steel cable, the kind of thing used for balustrades and stuff like that. And I've just wrapped that around the top hat on the roof and onto this turnbuckle, so we can just take the weight of that roof panel. So I'll put the spirit level on, make sure it's all nice. We're not lifting it up, we're just stopping it from sagging.
So now that the roof panel's up, it's just a matter of peeling off this plastic, which is the annoying part. Well, after a pretty big day, I've got all but one roof panels up. I can't put the last one up until that end wall goes in. So all the panels are up, that wall's up, that wall's completely up, that wall's almost up. The panels are supported by their cables. I think I've had a pretty good day. And as far as ceilings go, it's probably not the best I've ever seen, but it's definitely up there.
Now that the two longer side walls are in, I know exactly where the end wall's going to go. So same as before, I've just put the channel in, packed it up to where it's got to go, it's bolted down, and I'll fill it full of concrete underneath. Now last but not least is the last roof panel. I've had that sitting up on this stand the whole time I've finished those walls. It's been up out of the way because I wouldn't have been able to get it in afterwards. So it's up there, we run the silicone around, and then we'll just drop that carefully into place.
There you have it, viewers. All of a sudden, we have a fish room. So you've had another pretty busy day. All the walls are done. Now all the ceiling's done. Now here's where I'd like your input. I don't want to leave it this plain boring white. It looks like we're in a hospital or something. So obviously I'm going to paint the walls, paint the ceiling, but what colour do I paint it? I'd love to hear your input, and especially I'd love to see some pictures of your fish rooms on the community tab. I'm thinking something dark around the walls and lighter on the roof to make it appear a bit bigger, but I'm after you for some inspiration. So all I've got left to do today is cut the door and we're ready to go. I'll just grab the saw. No saw. Geez, this is embarrassing. All good. I made a doorway. So I'll leave the door for now. We'll make that in another video. I've probably bored you enough by now. So we'll leave it there. And as I said, any ideas you have, fire away. So if you like leaving likes, leave a like. And as always, thanks for watching, and I will see you in the next one. Hey, you reckon you could swing past my place today with a saw?
Yeah, what's going on?
I just need a saw that'll cut some cool room panel. I need to cut a doorway.
Yeah, I can do that for you, mate. I'll be out pretty soon. Yeah.
Yeah, righto. Just
Yeah, mate.
yeah, no worries. Just don't muck around. I'm not exactly sure how much air I've got left in here. Right, mate. I'll see you then. Thanks, mate.